Well, back again. Back again for a little bit of more nonsense. The headlines this morning, uh, in some ways, are going to be very controversial as time goes by. The main one being the Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, has said that she wants to declare those people who come ashore in small boats as not refugees, not refugee status. In other words, they can be sent back without any fault at all. Of course, there immediate opposition to such a thought, but certainly what she's highlighted is something has got to be done somewhere. Is the entire population of Westminster, all 650 people, have been sitting on their hands, wringing those hands and saying, "Oh, do that, and you can't do this and you can't do that. Oh, we'll make them welcome." Well, we're not making them unwelcome. The fact of the matter is we don't have enough money to look after them in the long run. So we need to find the solution now. What were the other headlines? Goodness gracious me, how soon we forget. Anyway, Russell Brand, of course, is hitting the headlines again with more revelations of his sexual harassment. And I've expressed my bits of reluctance to jump onto the bandwagon because this all happened 20 years ago. And I'm sorry, but things happen in between time that make the charging people with a parallel is impossible. It is not a parallel. I'm not for one moment condoning Russell Brand. Don't like the guy. I'm not very happy with his tee-up with some of the people that he worked with on TV either. I can't think of any at the moment. Oh, Jonathan Ross is the one that I was thinking of. I have my grave doubts about Jonathan Ross, but there we are. Russell Brand is in the firing line again. It's going to start to rain in a minute. We're going to have a little thunderstorm in a minute. So tuck up and get yourself off the streets, at least for the minute. Now, let's see what else we might have here. I think that one of the things that I noticed that we are able to do, of course, that was 5 minutes ago. Now, a little while ago, we used to be satirical in as much as we didn't approve of a lot of the things that the local council was doing, and in our own funny way, we tried to highlight them. So here's one example of it. The Lewis Consul.
Balance me out.
democracy here is a democratic process. And I'm sorry to say that although we live in a democracy, there's very little democratic about it. And it's time that, somebody said, um, it was my friend Eamon Holmes, with whom I worked briefly years ago, but we stayed distant friends, if you can put it that way. Recognize one another, say hello when we meet. Like to cut a little conversation with him. But he's just quoted as saying that the political classes are just sneering at us. They think that we're all idiots, and he's right. And I'm afraid that that's the way that we actually are treated by the powers that be, no matter what level. And we don't think that's right. That is not democratic. It's about time that we started to rejig and rethink. Okay, our constitutional monarchy works, but that doesn't mean to say that it can't be improved considerably. The present system that we've got, I like as a base. But the abuse that is able to attend from various elements of those who should know better is really very, very upsetting. And I think that we need to worry about it and to do things about it. Right. Okay. Now, what I want to do? Hang on. Maybe we got. I'm going to promote something first. Oh dear. I've got a twitchy thumb again. So there we are. I knew that had an abrupt ending, and but it gives us a little bit of insight into the sort of things that we do, I think. And anyway, this is a silly little. Oh, God bless you! Look, my beautiful Jane is looking after me. She always does. She's the most marvelous asset that Mirador has. And she blushes when I say things like that. She really is just a first class lady. And anybody would be proud to have a secretary, or, as a matter of fact, I think she's ready to move up to managing director. How about that? She's gone. Never mind. She's actually gone. We'll get her a job as a managing director, I'll tell you. All right. This isn't getting us very far. We could. What interesting stuff that we do have. Let's see. Let's tipple. Here is tipple along with me. We actually now trying to develop a drinks section for Mirador, and this is what we've got so far.
Just the one, Miss Eddie, just the one. She didn't want me to introduce this program at all, but I fought for it, and here I am. Just the one, Miss Eddie. Our drinks program that will cover the spirits, the wine, and the beer industries, not only locally, but throughout the world. Oh, joy.
You can give it back to me now. Come on. Thank you.
In fact, have a tipple. I need a drink. Evil spirits are brewed in Lewis. Here we go again. Pubs in Lewis. I feel like a drink. Why did Lewis have so many pubs? 63? 63 pubs. Oh my goodness. I think I will pop in for a quick drink. Lewis, drinking I come. Meanwhile, where's that pint? Vroom, vroom. So, it turned into a pub. They sure tippled in Lewis in the past. Time, gentlemen, please. One of the beauties of living in this part of the world is we have lots and lots of breweries, macro, micro, and somewhere in between. Oh, and boy, do they turn out an enjoyable product. See what I mean in a moment?
The main ingredients in any beer are water, malted grains, hops, and yeast. Hops are the flowers of the hop plant, which are used for flavoring. The only other uses for hops are in herbal medicine. With these four ingredients, you have everything you need to make beer, but the combinations in processes make all the difference. All of these ingredients are boiled together for set amounts of time until the final mixture is filtered and sent to fermentation. Mineral contents in your water source can make a huge difference to the type of beer that you brew.
For our bachelor's level students who are taking a class called The Art and Science of Brewing, take that malted barley, put it into our mill and crack it open to expose that starch inside. We're going to start with around 500 pounds of grain, which gives us about anywhere from 8 to 12 bags of grain. From there, it goes up through our auger and into the grist case and turn it into sugar. And that process can take anywhere from 45 minutes to 2.5 hours. Assurance and quality control testing we do, looking at sugar contents, which we call gravity, looking at our yeast under our microscope to try and count yeast cells that are healthy.
The history of the English inns or pubs is fascinating. So the next programme, courtesy of the British Council, takes us through the history of the English inn. And then, just to finish it off, what pubs recently were like just before lockdown. They've suffered a bit since, but this is a story of a long tale into a pub and an inn. Join me.
by the church, the rectory, and the people's homes, stands the inn. In its shade and beneath its roof, men of all degrees and of all opinions meet in comradeship and comfort. Walk through any English market town and you will find the inn at the centre of its life. On market day, the people from the country around meet there to discuss the trend of prices, their children's health and their home affairs. It's the same in the villages. When the sun warms the earth, they sit outside and watch the world go by. At the English inn today, there is a hospitality that to the host is just as much a sacred charge as it was to the monks and barons in the Middle Ages, who first gave bread and ale to travellers. Often the only sanctuary in out-of-the-way parts, the monasteries had a lodge open to pilgrims and other wayfarers. Later, these lodges became separate establishments and were eventually run as inns, under such signs as the Pilgrim's Inn. One example of monastic origin is the Bull, which gets its name from the papal bull, or bill, not the animal. These inns of England have seen history happen in their yards. Pilgrims and warriors have trodden their stairways. Here, medieval knights refreshed themselves on their journeys to the Crusades, to fight under the banner of St. George. The inns have preserved much of England's architecture. The early inn has preserved some of the finest carvings and treasures. Like the church, it was a sanctuary. Hence, most of these carvings have a religious meaning.
Over the road from the shops, held up by ship's timbers, is the Gardener's Arms. There seems to be a tradition in Lewes, although no one admits to it, of omitting the epithet pub or tavern. This pub is called by locals simply the Gardener's. And the Gardener's it was. The origins of this pub go back to when it was an ordinary house, owned by a gardener. Often, after work, he would invite other gardeners into his front room for a drink. Eventually, it made sense to formalize the ritual. So it turned into a pub. The Gardener's is a true pub. Unusual now, it only serves pork pies and sausage rolls. Yet each year it's in the top tier of finalists for Pub of the Year. Stood proudly on the riverbanks. Harvey's Brewery, the key industry of the town. The bloody high street of a tiny town.
Man would give up pubs for Lent or something, wouldn't you? Well, think on. He even gets absorbed in how the pubs were in January's time. Luddite.
The Romans started the wine industry in this part of the world, and very fine wine they made indeed. During the First World War, the British government almost killed it because they needed sugar and other things needed to grow vines for the war effort. And I'm happy to say that vineyards now are flourishing, and I've visited a lot of them. I hope that over the next few weeks you'll come with me.
English sparkling wines are beginning to win an enviable reputation across the globe, and that reputation is turning into sales. British supermarket chain Waitrose has reported a 188% increase in sales of English sparkling wine last year, and that trend is expected to continue. The soil and climatic conditions in southern England are remarkably similar to those of the Champagne region in France. So much so that leading French champagne house Taittinger has bought land in Kent and has begun producing English sparkling wine. But the owners of English vineyards are not prepared to take second place. Ridgeview Estate Wines in Ditchling has been producing English sparkling wine since 1994. And recently, the company received the prestigious accolade of having its wine served by the Queen to Chinese Premier Xi Jinping at a state dinner. Ridgeview is a family business which has a strong sense of history when it comes to its products. The vineyard's trademark is Merit, named in honour of Englishman Christopher Merritt. This wine pioneer made a presentation to the Royal Society in London in 1662, explaining the process of making sparkling wines. That was 30 years before the French began producing champagne. Last year, Ridgeview produced a bumper crop and has similar ambitions for this year. The product can be seen at a variety of produce events in the region, notably Brighton and Hove's Food and Drink Fair in May. And the winemaker plans to repeat the success of last year when it introduced its range of sparkling wines to New Yorkers. Want to check out the claims that Ridgeview makes? There are plenty of stockists within the Lewes district. As one might suspect, it's available at Harvey's, but also Larder in Ditchling, Middle Farm on the road to Eastbourne, and of course the English Wine Centre at Drusilla's Roundabout. These successes have created a rush to develop new vineyards in Sussex. Licence applications last year were up by 40%. It's not just sparkling wines that are gaining a reputation. Still wines have also been around a long time. Both are now beginning to take the French market by storm, as demonstrated by the French purchase of acreage in Kent. The key question now is if growth will mean a larger and more expansive English wine industry, or a homegrown luxury product suitable for big and glittering occasions. For the moment, only time will tell. Tasting a true competitor of French champagne. So next up on Food Glorious Food, a new way to sell wines in Lewes. Symposium has a friendly, laid-back atmosphere with staff who clearly have a passion for wine. Symposium has a limited range of Sussex wines, but what they have is top draw, and its range of quality grape types is within most budgets. Whether it's the cheese and meat platter, a single malt scotch, crunchy local bread or a glass or two of decent claret, this wine bar has found a unique way to sell its wines. And in today's world of big is better, the Symposium has found its niche.
Oh, there you are. That's something we did a while ago on wines and the history, indeed, of English pubs. And we intend to develop that into a series. The thing is that, first of all, the two gorgeous ladies who presented that show on Annie introduced it, and Lalada, who was the reporter, is they both were huge successes on television. They both decided that their future lay elsewhere because Mirador can't pay that much, unfortunately. we're not a wealthy organization. We're not wealthy at all. But they are excellent talents, and we discovered them. And I pay tribute to those two ladies. And indeed, we try very hard to bring along people to give them the experience of being on telly and to see how good they are. And at the moment, we have Bethany Allardyce, who, when she's available, comes in to join me, and a very feisty character she is. So we have quite an enviable track record in developing people for television. The thing is that they then go on to other careers. I wish that they would stay in television. But you know, the trouble is the establishment don't really like being invaded. They don't like new talent coming in. It unsettles them, and they see it as a threat. And so they should, because I've been discussing with former colleagues and professionals that we're not talking about natural history type programs. We're not talking about some of the documentaries that are made. We are talking about the day-to-day television that is presented to us by most of the established entities, program makers, television stations. And really, the sad thing is that the standard has fallen enormously. And yet here we have talent kicking around in the shires. And is anybody interested? No. I did chuckle the other day, in as much as there was somebody on LinkedIn who said that they would like to link with me. And her title was something like a talent developer for the BBC. You don't develop talent that way. What you do is you find people who have got the basics. If they've got the basics, then you can train them. No. The big boys don't go along with anything that makes sense. They don't go along with anything that has been tried and true and tested anywhere else in the world. No, they do not. So we're lucky in as much as we have just a taste of presenters like Annie and Lavender, and God bless them. And I hope that their careers pan out the way they want. I wish that they had decided on television. And as you can see, that's why. They are good. They are good. Let's see this part two to this history. And let's see if I can actually find it. Because I think that it's sort of interesting about the history of wine in this part of the world. Well, here we are. Is it may be that this is it, but we'll see.
My name is Richardson, and I happen to have been born in Britain. All peoples have their peculiarities and their enthusiasms. We are no exception. One of our enthusiasms is a game whose cause is served by experts and by those who only stand and wait. And while they wait, certain preparations, solemnly proceeding during many hours, reach their climax. For this is Lord's, deeply rooted in tradition and in the ritual tradition brings, where until the proper time, no man may enter unless he have some special access.
Well, on this occasion, I have some special access. My name's Arlott, John Arlott, and later on I'll be telling you something about the match. In the meantime, out comes the old country land measure. 22 yards, 4 rods, poles or perches, 1 chain, the length of a cricket pitch. They're measuring out the wicket, and that is something of a ritual, as a matter of fact. It takes many hours of skillful work over many months to prepare a first-class wicket, and that's just what this is, the special test wicket, a very revered patch of English turf plumb in line with the pavilion door. The test wicket of all test wickets, when at Lord's England plays Australia. And when that happens, everything has to be just so, to start with anyway. And while they've been working, the crowds have been gathering, soon to grow to something like 30,000 people, to say nothing of those who have to stay at home and listen on the radio to people like me.
30,000 people and many millions throughout the world did but time and geography allow. This game called cricket had its origin in quiet places and lives on in equally quiet places, deep in the hearts of those who love it. What is it about this unobtrusive game? What is its magic? For magic it must surely be that makes men sit and watch and dream of past occasions and of wistful yearnings never quite fulfilled. Magic it is that makes the hush when captains meet. The wicket is inspected and another test begins.
Don Bradman wins the toss for Australia, and Australia are going to bat. They're going to get first use of this good wicket. And here's the England side coming into the field. Yardley leading them, and here's Tom Dollery, Jim Laker, Dennis Compton and Douglas Wright of Kent at the end. And then, out of the pavilion gate, come Australia's opening pair, Barnes and Morris, Morris in the cap. And Alec Bedser of Surrey begins the bowling from the nursery end. Fast medium right arm comes in, bowls to Barnes outside the off stump, and it bounces off Evans' pads. Bedser again. Bowls again to Barnes and again beats him outside the off stump. And the first over's a quiet one, a maiden. And Alec Coxon of Yorkshire bowls the second over from the pavilion end. Elbows well out, comes in, bowls to Morris. Morris forces him away on the onside, and the Australian innings is underway. The first run's up on the board.
And so another historic test is underway, watched by the press of half the world, watched too by appraising eyes in the pavilion, eyes that have seen many a cricketer come and go. For here in the long room at Lord's, criticism is restrained, praise is brief, and only sunny days and history are long. Here are pictures that have captured in eternal attitudes the beginnings of the game, showing the essence of this thing called cricket, all thought and spirit concentrated on a square of green, a subtle battle between a slice of willow and a round of leather. Days of 2 stump wickets, when bats were curved and the scorer kept the tally with notches on a stick. Paintings of village greens in days when cockfighting was rife. Pictures of the high noon of Victorian peace, when cricket had become part of English education. And Lord's itself in 1837, then and today, the acknowledged home of cricket. Australia's innings has come to a close. The score stands high and is duly noted. There is time to breathe until England takes the field.
Now, cricket in the hands of the experts, more than a game. It's a craft at least, almost a science. Let's ask an expert, Bert Rhodes of Derbyshire, to bowl us a leg break on this demonstration wicket. Now, there's the spinning finger, the third one, see, cuddled close against the seam. It comes up. Now, this is the perfect leg break. Watch where it pitches. just outside the line of the leg stump, and it turns enough to beat the off stump. And now the orthodox, the natural break, spun off that index finger, the off break. And this pitch is, watch it, outside the line of the off stump, and it beats the leg stump. Now that's the right arm bowler's orthodox weapon. Let's see how the batsman copes with it. As the ball comes down to him, turning into him, well, all right, he just lets it hit the bat. And that's why short-leg fieldsmen were born. Well, perhaps attack's the best method of defence. Down comes that off break again, and the batsman hooks it hard and high over those short-leg fieldsmen, but not over deep square leg. There is a way of doing it, of course, over the ball as it moves into you, and push it away along the ground, as Edrich does this ball from Lindwall, playing it to Barnes. When England are 27 for 1, which is nothing for Englishmen to be very happy about, and Ray Lindwall is bowling at full speed to Hutton. That ball's well up to him, and he pushes it away past mid-off for a comfortable 2. Bradman moves round those hungry Australian slip fieldsmen, and Lindwall, in one of the finest spells of fast bowling seen in England since Larwood, bowls again, this time to Edrich, and Edrich pushes him away out into the covers, quite safely.
While experts battle, experts forge the weapons that they use. Good white willow with a wholesome heart, long seasoned, like the men who shape it. Skilled hands practicing a long-established craft. For wasn't John Small, the cobbler, making cricket balls at Hambledon 200 years ago? Since then, the craft has grown. And yet, there still remains the steadiness of eye and hand that sews the seams. Seams that in the bowler's hands give the hidden feel for breaks and twists. Seems to withstand the onslaught of the bat. For the heart of a bat is firm, and its blows have strength and punch.
Yes, it's got punch, all right. Power. It doesn't get there by accident. Take the handle now, with its cane and rubber springing, to whip as it's got to when a Hutton or a Bradman drives a fast bowler far away. There's got to be good splicing for that kind of thing, too, but cricket and craftsmanship go hand in hand, and when handle meets blade in a cricket bat, you've got a real piece of craftsmanship. It's the same with the ball, sewn firm and tight, and when it's done, a durable, balanced projectile, carefully weighed and measured and graded, as precise in its making as the hands that will use it, as precise as a cricket bat. First-class weapons, one designed to break or swing and beat the bat, and the other to fathom the tricks of the bowler and send the ball far away. And it takes Doug Wright at number 11 with a wild swing over the bowler's head, sky high up there into the long field, to save England from the follow-on. And Ray Lindwall, with 4 wickets already in the match, bowls again from the pavilion end, and bowls Alec Bedser. And England are all out for 215, 135 behind Australia on the first innings. There'll be some long faces in the printing room at this news. Best with the play, recording the fall of each wicket and the scores, so that late arrivals can pick up the score in detail straight away as they come in. With Australia 135 in front, they'll probably think that's a pretty sad 3 pennyworth. But now Australia have started their second innings. Bedser bowls to Barnes, his in-swinger, and Barnes puts it away, down to long leg. Round comes Hutton, fielding at long leg, and there's that quick low throw to Godfrey Evans. And now Wright bowls to Morris, and he's out.
When a wicket falls or a hit is made, those behind the scenes spring into action. What they record will go speeding over land and ocean. When a batsman strikes, the whole world outside will want to know the score. And when they know it, they'll cast an envious thought to those who sat at Lord's and watched.
And there goes Barnes, magnificently caught by Washbrook at long on for 141. And Australia are now 431 in front. And now here comes Lindsay Hassett, the vice-captain, to face up to Norman Yardley. I suppose waiting for the earlier batsman, he's had his pads on for best part of 4 hours. Well, he needn't keep them on any longer. Meanwhile, the Don bats on. Don Bradman, on his last test tour and playing his last test innings at Lord's.
Don Bradman, the pride of Australia and the despair of England. But whichever side one favours, who can but acclaim a master? Bradman, whose name now joins the golden pageant.
And it is a golden pageant. Let's look at just a few of them. Silver Billy Beldam of Hambledon, who in the 1780s became the first great batsman. William Lillywhite, the nonpareil, the man who changed bowling from underarm to roundarm. William Clark, the one-eyed Nottingham bricklayer, who with his All England 11 spread the gospel of cricket all through the country. The Lion of Kent, Alfred Minn, the great fast bowler of the 1840s and 50s. Spofforth, the demon bowler from Australia, who in the great test of 1882 even took the wicket of the old man. W.G. Grace, the Gloucestershire country doctor who turned a rustic sport into the science of modern cricket. The first man to score a century before lunch in a test, Victor Trumper. Ranji, and the bowler who suspended the laws of timing, Maurice Tate. Clary Grimmett, the most accurate of all leg break bowlers. A problem even for England's great opening pair, Jack Hobbs of Surrey and his imperturbable Yorkshire partner, Herbert Sutcliffe. Jack Hobbs, the modern master, who, in the 1930s, resigned his supremacy to a young man from Bowral, Donald George Bradman. A pageant of 170 years of cricketers on whom the sun always shines. In retrospect, anyway.
But cricket casts its own peculiar glow, and in the years to come, this day too of rain and cloud will be sunlit in the memory. Will rain stop play? Anxious eyes survey the wicket. Willing hands turn to. But fate is kind and the battle is renewed. All through a cloudy afternoon they struggle on. The English batsman extra careful, heavily conscious of each wicket as it falls.
England want 596 to win and Hutton's out for 13, and England 42 for 1 wicket. And now Toshak bowls to Edrich. Ian Johnson catches him at first slip. Edrich is out. England 52 for 2 wickets, and in trouble. That'll hurry him and depress him in the printing room. Well, with 2 wickets gone for 52, England are in a lot of trouble. Indeed, almost everything depends on the man who now comes out of the pavilion. Dennis Compton. And with Hutton gone, England's last real hope.
So they fight on, a battle of muscle, sinew, and eye. For this is cricket at its finest, calling forth a quality deep in men, the calmness of a Compton on a sticky wicket when the world is watching, steadiness of nerve and quick agility. To be a Hobbs, a Sutcliffe, a Bradman, or a Compton. The heroes change with the years, but the dream to be a cricketer lives on in every generation. And the heroes pass on their knowledge. For cricket is a part of the very substance of a country's education. But the game knows no class, and indeed no frontier. In the West Indies, Australia, New Zealand, India, under the shadow of Table Mountain, developing the same qualities in men, regardless of background, color, or creed.
England, 106 for 3, want an impossible 490 to win. Impossible? Well, Compton's still there. And here's Big Bill Johnson with that bucking, bridling run coming in to bowl to him. And Compton's out. England's last hope of the impossible. And now, Toshak bowls the coxswain. Toshak thinks he's out. Umpire thinks he's out. Coxswain thinks it's a shame. Now it's all over, bar shouting.
The day wears on. Another game is lost and won. Well, perhaps not quite. Defeat has come to England, and to Australia, victory. Australia takes the Ashes. But victory is the least that men play cricket for. They play it for a host of reasons, ill-defined and hard to seek. On school ground, on city street, on village green, they play on. For the urge wells deep from quiet places, in men and in the land they spring from.
Just the one. I managed to get it back off her. I've had a thoroughly enjoyable hour talking about my favourite topic, drink. Join me next week for another trot through the vineyards, smelling the wonderful oats in the brewery and making my own gin at home. Till then, Keith Hayes, Toodle Pip.
Well, there we are. One might say, why did we switch to cricket quite as quickly as we did when we were talking about drink? But like all sports in England, the long room and a county ground is a sacred place where one goes for a drink while watching the cricket. But the association of pub and cricket, and particularly in Sussex. There is one little village not very far from here, which has its own cricket pitch, which was said to be the very first cricket pitch ever to be devised as a permanent cricket pitch. And it's a lovely little village, it's a lovely little pub, and it's a lovely little place to play cricket. And we can honestly say that most people accept that Sussex was where cricket really it was invented, if you like, or was developed. And the games, the matches at the Dripping Pan in Lewes were between Lord Sussex, Lord Sussex, no, well, certainly between Lord Gage and Lord Sheffield, sorry, not Lord Sussex, Lord Sheffield, were momentous. They were hard fought, and people bet on them, got excited about them, and all in all, it was the heart of the community. By the same token, it offended some of the people who believe that people should not play cricket on a Sunday, but should be in church. And several people either went to prison or paid hefty fines for daring to tread on a cricket pitch on a Sunday. We do have some stuff being collated to do a brief history of cricket. We've got a brief history of all sorts of things being collated. The thing is, we don't have enough time and people to put them together in any fast order. But then again, who knows? That might just change. It may be that I'm not stuck here every morning behind this desk talking to you. Perhaps you get some much more interesting people than me. And we can get on with making some of them more informative programs, which we plan. We actually, as we develop new programs, is basically we have a 3-point program. One, they must be entertaining. Two, they must be informative. and 3, they must be educational. I hope that you can understand that educational is very much tied in with wine and beer and cricket and some of the other esoteric things that we put up in these programs each morning. I've been here for quite a time. It is now 9:41. I am going to leave you for a little while. At least I think I am, and we're going to just pause before we finish off our morning with more memory lane stuff. So just hold tough. We'll be back in about 10 minutes, certainly before 10 o'clock. And what the heck?